Good morning, Bucknutters. It is Thursday, March 27th, 2025. I am Dan Rubin. This is the Bucknuts Morning 5 and Change. This podcast covers the national champions. Great show for you today. Back with the Dean, Bill Kurelic, and the Grand Poobah, Mark Porter, of course. Since we last left you, Tuesday, say noon, Ohio State has added 2 offensive linemen to the fold. We will definitely dive deep on that. And I must warn you, for those of you who remember a year ago when my wife and son were on spring break and I was here working the mill, my dog may join in for a minute here. I don't see him, so it's good. He may be sleeping at the top of the stairs. So, shh, Brad, we don't need him to join in. However, one thing you do need to join in on, and that is Huel, one of our newest sponsors. This thing is incredible, okay? It's delicious. The other day I showed you iced coffee flavor. Today, strawberry banana. This is ready to drink meal in a bottle. One bottle, 35 grams of protein, 27 vitamins and minerals, and it's low in sugar. Perfectly balanced meal. Designed by nutrition experts and takes the guesswork out of healthy eating. It's convenient. I mean, look at this. I'm up and at 'em. You can drink this. You can drink this in the car. You can drink this on the walk to the car. You can drink this in your house. Tastes like a milkshake. They come in a range of flavors. They're low in sugar, but taste great. Like I said, the other day I did iced coffee. Today I'm going to do strawberry banana. And new customers, you need to join in too. Visit Huel.com. Huele.com. So like fuel with an H. I think I spelled that wrong. Huel.com/Bucknuts today and use the code Bucknuts to get 15% off your first order and a free gift. Sorry about that. Huel, Huel.com/Bucknuts. Code Bucknuts, 15% off your first order plus a free gift. Speaking of gifts, look who it is. The Dean, Bill Kurelic, the Grand Poobah, Mark Porter. Gentlemen, another day, another offensive lineman, no big deal. So after a couple years where it felt like we were begging for offensive linemen, now this Tyler Bowen character is just lining them up. Tuesday, we talked a ton about Sam Greer. Later on Tuesday, Sam Greer talked a lot about joining the Buckeyes and did just that. Yesterday, Tucker Smith committed. It's a big deal that I said Tucker there. You don't even know why. But he is in the fold. I guess we need to talk about several things. One, Bill, let's talk about the addition of Tucker Smith, if it surprised you or not. And then I guess we'll get Mark's opinions on it. And then we're going to have some context because Tyler Bowen's start at offensive line coach needs to be addressed. William, the floor is yours.
Well, your question, did it surprise me? No, we were ready for it. In fact, I stayed up late on Monday night, or actually, I guess it was Tuesday night, late Tuesday night, because I thought it might happen then. It did not happen then. It happened on Wednesday. So, no, it didn't surprise me. It is great news. You know, people could say, well, he's a 3-star. I say, watch his tape. He, to me, is not a 3-star, and he won't be a 3-star in my mind in the future. He plays left tackle for Sandra Day O'Connor High School in Glendale, Arizona, but he's been recruited as a guard center for Ohio State. So a couple things. You know, he's listed at 6'5", 280. You know, I usually think, well, those listings are too high for players. But if you look, Tyler Bowen is a big man. He is a big guy. And when he stands next to a lot of recruits, those offensive line recruits kind of look small. That's not the case when he stands next to Tucker Smith. Bowen looks a little bigger, but Tucker Smith looks just about as big. And he is you see him next to Ryan Day, and Tucker Smith is definitely bigger than Ryan Day. He is a big guy. He is also a guy that, as I've said, guard center. So when you look at what Ohio State has right now, they've got a guard center in Tucker Smith. they've got a guard tackle in Maxwell Riley, and they've got a pure tackle in Sam Greer. So across the board, they're getting needs filled with guys that are outstanding players and guys that Tyler Bowen really likes and really wants. So those are some big things with Tucker Smith and what Tyler Bowen is doing.
I want to comment on this really quickly, Bill. You mentioned how big Tyler Bowen is. There's video of Sam Greer walking up to him in practice and I think giving him the good news. And then they kind of lock up together and it's like a clash of titans, man. You want to see some big dudes get after it. You could have said they were 5'10" or 6'7". You wouldn't know the difference because they're about the same size. And he like bumped into Greer, man. I'm like, if he had hit a regular human like that, he'd have pancaked the guy right in front of everybody. But Greer held his ground, so it was nice. Mark,
can I add one thing to that real fast, Dan? When I talk to recruits after they visit Ohio State this spring, and coaches for that matter, like their coaches or whatever, one thing that gets often said is, we were with the offensive linemen, we were with watching them practice. And one thing I hear a lot is current offensive linemen coming from recruits and Coach All, there are some really big guys there, some huge guys, Ethan Anianwa and so on and so forth. But I hear that so often. There are a lot of big guys in that room. Yeah. And the guys that they're adding to the program now via this recruiting class are big guys.
It's definitely been a fun start. Mark,
let's say
we were prepared because you had Tucker. Hold on a second. You had Tucker Smith ready to go, so we must have been prepared. Your evaluation of him is now up on the site. It went up right before this show. It is exclusive. It is premium, so we're just going to give you a taste here. But you can kind of put in context what Bill said and kind of give us a sense of where you would rate him as opposed to the 3-star. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to start with the video you saw of the Will Greer commitment. If people didn't see that, it's like someone had a cell phone and Coach Day knew that Greer had committed, and he told him, it looked like he said, hey, go tell your O-line coach that you committed. And it looked like he was genuinely surprised, shocked, and then the genuine enthusiasm, like, let's go. I mean, and it was like two rams locking horns for a second, and you could see those guys belly bumping. I thought that was a cool video because it really showed the excitement for Will Greer. It showed the genuine, like, wow, we wanted this kid and we got him. And you could see, like, there was no faking it. I'm sorry, Sam, you got me. He's not
Ron Wilson just buzzed me in my ear and said it's Sam Greer, not Will Greer. Go ahead.
Yep. Doesn't play backup quarterback for the Cowboys. Sorry about that. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is something Bill said. He's a 3-star. And if you've been following this podcast, you know that I don't necessarily, and I hope the bosses aren't listening, follow the 24/7 grading system. I have my own grading system for Scouting Ohio that I use. So I try to be as independent, and I try not to fall into groupthink or let other rankings or stuff like that influence what I think. And here's what I'll say about the star system, and this may get me in trouble. Sometimes the star system may be a reaction to the offers you already have, not to the offers you're going to get. And I think a lot of times the stars, and we see it a bunch here, in Buckeye land, where a 3-star gets offered by Ohio State, and then the powers that be go back and reevaluate the kid and kind of check it out. And all of a sudden, like Bill said, this kid will be a 4-star. So don't let that, lack of star rating early on in the process sway you or make you think that we got a player that's not up to snuff. That being said, let's play the video and show you why he is going to be a 4-star. The versatility is something that obviously jumps off the tape. He's pulling here and he's zone blocking, and you see the physical, nasty finish that's almost, routine for Ohio State linemen. I put a lot of his base blocking on the first couple clips here because can he come off the ball and drive people off the spot? Does he have the pop and explosion? And you see it there. You see him there come off the block and bury a linebacker. The next part of this film will go into him being more of an athlete where he's pulling and getting up to the next level and trying to track down smaller targets, which you're going to see that he does a great job of breaking down on guys, sinking his hips, running his feet. have we seen anything that's not a pancake yet? Here's some of the stuff out in space. That's pretty athletic out in space running around. And I tell you what, to be a 300-pounder and be able to hit the brakes and stop on a dime on some of these smaller guys, that's pretty special. That's an athletic type trait. And I know Dan usually shuts it off about this point. There's pass protection.
That's my fault. I was mesmerized.
I know with the new commit, sometimes we want to give all the premium stuff away, but we get into him pulling, kick stepping, and let's be check boxes. That's something I'm always saying on this podcast. We got to make sure he kind of checks all these different things. Is he nasty? Is he a finisher? What type of feet? And you guys said it, that the versatility of him, I put in the breakdown. He could go to center tomorrow morning and it would not bother me. He's got that much experience. He looks like he's a very veteran, well-coached, experienced lineman that's going to come here and expand upon that.
Yeah. Very impressed. I think he might I could see him being the center of the future, to tell you the truth. As you look at the way they're building the guys through here, it should be definitely interesting. There's this comment here from Mike Schaefer. Love the guys who have committed. Would like to see a David Sanders type to be the cherry on top. I get that. I'm almost thinking now that I would – this is just my opinion. I'm not sure I would go about it that way. Given the fact they just won the national championship without the super high marquee offensive lineman at left tackle, and really the guy they had, Josh Simmons, would have been the first left tackle picked in the draft had he not gotten injured, and he was a transfer from San Diego State. So I think I would go pay 6 dudes a ton of money rather than 1 dude. You know what I'm saying? Considering they're getting high quality dudes. Mark, your vibe.
I go like this. Sam Greer is our David Sanders.
Yeah. Okay.
Don't tell anybody. We don't want him to have that national vibe, but Sam Greer or in the talent he's going to bring with that, frame and whatever and his upside, I think that's the guy we consider the David Sanders of this class, minus the national, NIL bids coming his way every 15 minutes.
Listen, one of the best, most productive linemen we ever got here, Pat Elflein, there was not a murmur when he committed. There were complaints, and look what he did. So I think what we've done now is I will now give Tyler Bowen the benefit of the doubt. How about that? Justin Fry never got it, and somehow Tyler Bowen has achieved it. No, this is what I was afraid was going to happen. Am I saying I don't want Jackson Cantwell? Of course not. If Jackson Cantwell wants to come here and they recruit him and he decides to come here, that'd be tremendous. But the idea of putting all our eggs in that basket and then coming back around and looking for a tackle, I'm not into, and they're not doing that this cycle. So he would be the cherry on the sundae. That would be the biggest cherry ever placed on anything if it was Jackson Cantwell. That would be a genetically altered cherry. So let's not do that. The funds, like I said, that's what Richie Dubs is my guy. I just want the funds to be allocated properly. The problem with a guy like David Sanders is, guess what? He waited to the very end of his recruitment. So if you're allocating dollars and have to put aside $2 million and wait till the end, and he says no, it would stand to reason that you may have missed out on some other stuff. It looks to me like they are getting ahead of that now. All right. Bill, do you want to quickly put in context the Sam Greer pickup? I think Mark has made it clear what he thinks of it. Just because we haven't spoken about it since he officially committed. I was surprised. You weren't as surprised. I was a little upset you didn't tell me. But go ahead and finish off Sam Greer, because I really thought that recruitment was going to go on for several more months. So let's give him his due before we kind of close the book on the recruitment side.
Yeah, I will second what Mark said about Sam Greer is that type of guy, the 5-star Sanders type guy, so to speak. I've mentioned this before. I went to his game his sophomore year, the Hoban game, and he unfortunately was still coming off an injury. I didn't get to see him play, but I saw him his junior year near the end of the season, around middle of the season. And he was really good. I mean, from that point on, if I wasn't already a big Sam Greer guy, I was a Sam Greer guy full-fledged. I mean, I know Ohio State is extremely excited about having him. I know that for a fact. He has NFL potential all the way. And I mean high NFL potential. When they develop him, when Bowen and Mariotti and the likes at Ohio State develop him, look out. And he's healthy now. A basketball player and great feet. He has it all. As far as him coming to Ohio State, that was not a surprise, but it was huge nonetheless. We on Tuesday morning, I said that he has continued to say that he is going to take official visits, but I said, don't rule it out. I never say never in recruiting. Don't rule it out coming earlier than that. And boom, that afternoon it happened.
Yeah, if Greer was from South Dakota, we'd be flipping out right now. Maybe not South Dakota because we'd be worried about his pedigree. All right, I think everyone gets my point. He's from California. Go ahead, Bill.
I was going to say, and by the way, a lot of talk about Cantwell, but the guy that Ohio State has the better shot at as far as offensive tackles is Felix Ojo out of Texas. And they have told him they're recruiting him as a left tackle, which means he could be a right tackle too, for that matter, almost for sure. But, I think that's going to be an Ohio State-Texas battle myself. And Ohio State, that's not going to be easy getting out of Texas and beating Texas. But that's the guy that we should be talking about as a guy that is, more likely to be a Buckeye than, say, Cantwell.
For those of you who want some Felix Ojo content, when there is a recruit of that ilk, 24/7 Sports calls them war daddies. That's about the highest compliment you can get. And they will do feature stories on them. And they've done one on Ojo, but there's also content up there now, Bill. I think he's either down to 7 or something like that. But Felix Ojo is in the mix. Let me tell you what else is in the mix. Bird Dogs. That is our latest advertiser. And I have to admit, this is the first one where my son actually was like, Dad, your show might actually be successful. That's pretty impressive that you got Bird Dogs. They sent me shorts. They were too small. So my son got them, but they are sweet. Everyone's heard of Bird Dogs. They're not your stiff old khaki shorts that, first of all, I think that at one point in time, every single offensive line coach in the United States was forced to wear those pocketed shorts that went down to their knees, and they wear them in the winter. No one wears shorts in the winter more than offensive line coaches. The guys who are built like we used to call them rhinos because their legs look like rhino legs, and they didn't need cover in the winter. They are some tough dudes. They look like and they look good. Even the offensive line coaches. Nicer than most athleisure. That's a new word, by the way. Did you know that word? Athleisure, Bill. That's like athletic chic. You've been marketing it for years. They finally caught on. Work, date night, golf course, bars, etc. You'll catch the dean in those. Dress them up or dress them down. And for a limited time, our listeners get a free hat with any order when you use code Bucknuts at birddogs.com. Completely free. Use code Bucknuts at Bird Dogs. Support our show and let them know we sent you. Yeah, Bird Dogs is legit, man. I like when we get advertisers and I know the name. I'm just very thankful of the nutters who have made this part of their routine. All right. I knew I was going to get some few. Every time you say the word khaki around here, someone throws in a don't give me any more Harbaugh junk. And I tell them, listen, there's nothing we can do about that. All right, Bill. Major dudes coming into town here. A lot of guys we've talked about, one in particular. And then guys from major metropolitan areas like Bauxite, Arkansas, another offensive lineman. Running back, let's talk about that, though. One local guy, one national guy. Want to take it from the top and tell us about Favor Aki? Bill, is Favor Aki on commitment watch?
Well, he visited Miami yesterday, and it was a good visit. In fact, I briefly had a little conversation with him. Favor when he was waiting in the airport last night to fly home to Ohio. It was around 9:00 or so, whatever, I think. But he was getting ready to fly home to Ohio. So he was going to get to Ohio last night late, probably close to midnight, and then get up this morning and go visit Ohio State again. So he was very impressed with that visit to Miami. Right now, he's got official visits set to Ohio State, Miami, and USC. That's his final 3. And again, kind of like Greer, his plan has been to take those 3 official visits. He is visiting Ohio State today. Could this be a Sam Greer redone? Redux? Again, I never say never. So we'll see what happens today. But in the end, I do like Ohio State's chances. But I will say, at one point, he was, in my opinion, pretty close to committing to USC, I thought. But he also had a great visit to Miami. But again, he's a local kid. So he's coming in. He's visiting Ohio State today. And then this weekend, you've got Savion Hyder. Wouldn't that be a great coup for Carlos Lachlan to get Savion Hyder and Favor Akee in the recruiting class after he got 3 running backs in his 2025 class? So you've got Favor Akee today. You've got Savion Hyder this weekend. And by the way, you got CJ Givers, too, coming in this weekend, another running back they have offered. So going to be an interesting and a very busy week. Now, the other guy is the one you mentioned from Bauxite, Arkansas. He's another guy that I had a brief chat with last night, Evan Goodwin, 6'6", 315 pounds, and Tyler Bowen's first Ohio State scholarship offer. That came back the middle of February. And I know Evan is looking forward to this visit. He is supposed to be at Ohio State today and tomorrow, a 2-day visit. So we'll see what happens there. I think he doesn't have an official visit scheduled with Ohio State yet, but I tend to think that is going to happen.
Listen, man, I would tell him there's not unlimited room at the inn. You know what I'm saying? Might be time to hop on board. All right, Mark. Cam St. Pre says, I'm hearing Savion wants in. I'm hearing if Savion wants in, for me personally, that he should be in then, because if he wants in, he's in. Can you talk about or just rehash your vibes on Savion Hyder and follow that up with your feelings on Favor Akee and maybe put that in context with the state of Ohio as we kind of move forward here?
Okay. Savion Hyder, when we watched him, I was profusely in love with him because of his film. And then I realized he's the #1 running back in the country, and everybody feels the same way I do. He's the bar. He's the one that sets it, and everyone after him, it's just how much farther down the bar are they? When we watched Favor Akee back-to-back one day on this podcast, so we watched Hyder and then we watched Akee, we thought Akee was like Hyder Light, like Bud and Bud Light, Coors and Coors Light. We thought Favor Akee had some stuff to him, but he was doing it maybe 10 or 15 pounds lighter. And maybe there, you could see a little difference in the juice. But, I think people got after me because I started splitting hairs with Will Greer Sam Greer and Adam Guthrie. And, I said, Guthrie's film looked a little better. Yeah. And, to me, they were both A prospects. They're both 5 stars. But on a podcast like this with fans, we're trying to create a little controversy and some conversation. So you pick a winner. And I picked the winner. And on the message boards, I've noticed people definitely like Greer better than Guthrie now. And, I was on an island with that. So I don't want that to be the same feeling like there's this big gap between Hyder and Favor Akee. But there is a gap. And now, like we said, Favor Akee gets in the weight room, does some work this offseason, it could equal out. I think the problem would be is if Favor Akee's on campus today and he thinks Hyder's going to commit, what do you think he may do?
Commit.
Okay. Now, would that scare a bell cow running back away? We're like, hey, this class is going to have 2 of us in it. And, I know I'm a one-man show, Now, I think I compared Hyder to Gibbs. Could someone else be the David Montgomery to Jahmyr Gibbs? It's going to be a 2-headed monster. will Hyder feel like that, hey, I'll come there and split some carries? But it's really tough to bring in 2 quarterbacks in one class. There are 2 running back classes, and there maybe are 2 tight end classes, but things get a little hairy, I think, in those situations. So that'd be my initial vibe that, if Favor Key commits, does that affect Hyder? Now, you said it. You take Hyder no matter what. If he was the 7th running back in a class, take him. We'll worry about the other 6 later, but that's the type of talent he is. I'd rather see it go the other way, get Hyder, and then bring in, the rotator with him, because Hyder, no matter where he goes, he could probably find a place where they're going to make him the guy, the centerpiece of the class. And, we want to probably give him that feel at Ohio State.
So, Bill, this will be a pseudo comment / question for you. It does seem like, in general, that and I agree completely with Mark, that running back, really more than quarterback, used to be, if you got the main guy, you weren't getting another guy. You literally were not getting another main guy, because it was like, if I can't get the carries, I'm out. So I do think there's been a shift. Look, even here, we got Judkins to come here when Henderson was still here. They split carries. There's this idea of tread on your tires. And I do think the fact that it did not hurt either of their NFL draft stocks will help in that case. The reference you made to the Detroit Lions, that has become so popular. It seems like every football team from high school on up through college, through the pros now, wants fire and ice at an extreme level when they saw it work like that. I don't know if in the past I would have been really nervous, and I still think if you're not the number 1 guy, because look, like you said, Hyder is going to be the number 1 running back in any class he commits to. So for a key, it might make sense to me to commit today, but Hyder can commit anytime he wants, and I don't think he'll be intimidated by the duo. In fact, given the fact that Ohio State has done it and the overall vibe, I would almost be a little disappointed in any guy who turned it down for that reason now, because, you don't think you can compete? There's no situation for running backs anymore where they really want you to be the extreme. So if you're not ready to be part of a group, it may not work out for you. Bill, do you get the sense that's changed? Because back in the day, look, if people don't, let me see if I can get this in correct order. They got Evan Pryor to commit, and then Travion Henderson committed, and then I think they turned down Donovan Edwards. So take it and run with it, William.
Well, not only do I think that theory is buying in, Miami schools saw what Ohio State did last year. They won the national championship with a running back duo, Henderson and Judkins. Schools see that. Miami, for instance, they are trying to duplicate that. They're going for 2 running backs. They've got 1 committed already this year, and they're going to try to get somebody to pair with him to be that same type of tandem eventually. Not right. That's not going to happen right away if they get to, but that's what they're going for. They want that Ohio State type model. And Nakia is one of the guys they want, by the way, Miami, to go with the running back they have committed. So it is being copied by other schools. And when you look at the running backs, they've got 2 things. They've got to be, and you mentioned it, Dan, they've got to be ready and willing to compete. Then they've got to buy into that, where this theory that you're not going to be the lone bell cow, you're going to be in a tandem, and it's going to be good for you. Judkins and Henderson bought into it. Not necessarily all running backs will buy into that, but you've got to get guys that'll buy into that. And I think that's happening now because, like I said, people saw Ohio State win the national championship with that.
Not just that, like I said, you got the national championship team that did it. I think everyone, and you guys can disagree with me, felt like Detroit had the best offense last year when fully healthy. That coach parlayed that into the Bears head coaching job. And now there's talk that the Bears may select a running back at 10, even if the kid from Ashton Genty goes before that, because they want a bell cow or they want that one other guy to kind of go with the process. All right.
Let's be clear. Detroit's success is from the offensive line.
Correct.
Jahmyr Gibbs is the real deal. I'm not taking anything away from him, but they probably have the top 5 top 2 or 3 offensive line in the league. I mean, they're really special.
Well, I think you can say number one.
I'm just being whatever, but yeah, I think as we say that model, the reason that model jumped off was the offensive line, and similar with Ohio State, the reason Henderson and Judkins jumped off and shine is they had the horses up front to give them the crack in the armor to get going.
It also helps to have some threats on the outside so you can't load the box. We should really consider trying to get some of do you think, are they available? But I digress.
Yeah, we can deep dive that a little more, but yeah, you're right. It's not just get a 2-headed backfield and everything works out great.
You're totally right. And I will tell you this, it's been really nice to see this. And we're not going to go too much into this because you can go to the site right now. Obviously, Pro Day was yesterday. Everybody worked out. Good Lord. We're getting like lover spam on there.
Bruce has a girlfriend.
Yeah, Bruce, careful, brother. You're expanding your horizons here. There's one guy on here who said he was 60 and has a 44-year-old daughter. Don't be hanging out with him if you want to cut back on your expenses. But I digress. The Pro Day yesterday was tremendous, and Will Howard put on a show, 36 of 38 with 2 drops. As you probably should complete every pass in practice. But I'm telling you, if you go out and listen to your general draft pundits, and I would suggest if you're a draft nerd like me, you should find a purveyor of information who has no connection to Ohio State, because they'll start talking about Buckeyes and pronounce their name incorrectly. Believe it or not every person in the United States follows Ohio State like we do. Sometimes they learned about him in the playoff. And what you're getting is guys will talk about it and be like, I pulled up Will Howard's Just the Playoffs and watched it, and he earned himself some space. I'm telling you, man, he's going to get picked higher than people think, and with good reason. And I'm glad he's had the chance to show everyone what he could do, because he is a scorer. It was a major addition for Ohio State and a great one. Bill, a lot of guys coming here this weekend want to follow in the footsteps of Will Howard and the Buckeyes, win a championship, and then be headed to the pros. Who else is coming? Let's start with guys that you think might be on commitment watch, if there's anybody, and then some of the more high-profile names, when they'll be here, etc.
Well, one thing I wanted to real quick mention too, you talk about Travion Henderson. I saw a mock draft, and we went out 3 rounds, and it had the Browns picking at the top of the 3rd round, Travion Henderson. I said to myself, sign me up for that.
He won't be there.
There's no way I think Travion.
No way. No way
he's there in the 3rd round.
Yeah. But if he does, sign me up for that if I'm the Cleveland Browns. But now back to your
Bill. For you to get Travion Henderson in the 3rd round, he's going to have to get pulled over by the authorities or something, because that is not happening.
Yeah, well, like I said,
you got a much better chance of getting Judkins there, believe it or not. Go ahead.
They're selling some papers with that prediction.
Yeah. As far as this weekend, it's going to be a huge weekend. There's no question. It starts off really well with a key and good one coming today. I mentioned Savion Hyder is going to be in this weekend. Blaine Bradford, one of the top safeties on Ohio State's board, has a brother at LSU, so that's not going to be easy, but he's definitely interested. He's visiting. Simeon Caldwell, you mentioned, who might be on commit with watch? Maybe Caldwell. And again, I'm not saying that he's going to commit, not saying that at all. But if you want to put somebody on watch this week, maybe him. He is a nephew of Tim Walton, and he's been to Ohio State, likes it a lot. Dorian Barney is an outstanding defensive back out of Georgia visiting Ohio State this weekend. Tommy Tofi, an offensive lineman at Ohio State, has offered is another one. I mentioned C.J. Givers is visiting Ohio State he's already been offered by the Buckeyes. There's an interesting one. KJ Green. He is one of the top 2027 defensive end edges. He is out of Georgia. He is visiting Ohio State this weekend. Jerquaden Guilford, a guy that a wide receiver out of Indiana that was committed to Penn State, decommitted, visiting Ohio State this weekend. I don't know that I would put him on commitment watch necessarily, but he likes Ohio State a lot. And again, I never say never. So those are some really big names. It's going to be an impressive array of recruits at Ohio State starting today and going through Sunday.
Bill, brass tacks took it to another level here. I'll eat bird dung live on YouTube if Travion drops in the third round. Yeah, I don't see that happening. I tell you,
I don't either, but
I'm as a fan of a team I got you running back starved. There's going to be a run on running backs somewhere towards the end of the first round or early second, and I would see Travion being an early second round pick. Mark, vibes?
I was trying to pull up the Travion Henderson video I saw on Twitter. There was 3 minutes of him in pass protection.
Oh, yeah.
Based on that video alone, you're not going to see him in the third round.
Exactly.
If all he did was pass protect, I mean, it starts off with 10 uppercuts under the chin and like stone cold, stoning guys in the hole. But it just keeps going on with routine pass protection where did any of us, coming out of high school say, hey, Travion Henderson's going to be known for his pass protection in 3 years? No, it was all jitter, shake, jive, making guys look ridiculous in the open field. There was no, this guy's a badass, who will strike you, type vibe coming. So hats off to him and the coaches for bringing that trait out and making it such a draftable trait. Okay. I mean, that really does speak to NFL football. So just wanted to throw that. If I can find that in the next couple of minutes, maybe
we're good. Yeah. We're going to get out of here in a second anyway, especially because he's the scat back theoretically if you're going with a two running back combination. And the first question they ask about a Gibbs or something like that, can he hold up in pass protection so we can play him all the time on third down? Travion's blocked so well, he's not even being looked at as a boutique back. He's being looked at as an every down back. So it's going to be a matter if he can stay healthy or not, but he can block just fine. All right. We'll leave it there. Great show, great week. We're adding commitments like it's our job, even though it's not our job, just to comment on it. And who knows who will add this weekend. I'll just say this, Bill. I'll be shocked if they don't add at least one more commitment by the time we reconvene on Tuesday. There you go. That's a tease. Have a good one. Nutters of Buck.